And David E. Taylor got busted by the FBI yesterday. He says that if you talk negatively against him, God's going to kill you. And if they don't hit their donation quota that they have to raise, they have to get on their knees and beg him for forgiveness.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He owns a Bentley, Rolls Royce, all in the name of Jesus. $8.3 million, 28,000 square feet was raided by the FBI. And David E. Taylor got busted by the FBI yesterday. Is
this the guy in Dallas?
He's in Houston. Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah.
What happened then?
What's up?
I'll let you finish.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying the whole system is corrupting, and it's because of the religious economic theory. We're pitting churches against each other, vying for consumers with no external accountability, and it just creates the Wild West, and anything goes in the name of Jesus. And Dan Bramer, who's one of the smartest men I've ever sat with, philosopher and theologian, he goes, no one believes something that's stupid, Nathan. And so Kenneth Copeland, who his boys waved their guns and their fake badges at me, he believes what he's doing. And he believes he is spreading the gospel. Joel Osteen believes it. Ed Young, who had me arrested and roughed up, believes it. My brother-in-law, who's dying, believes it. And so I don't blame any of these guys. And the system, yes, we live in a capitalist society where things cost money, but we have to be able to separate the church from the building, the true church, the ecclesia, and say this needs to be regulated. And right now it's unregulated in the name of separation of church and state.
What happened in Houston? That's because this was yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah. So there's an apostle named David E. Taylor, loud, outgoing guy. He says that if you talk negatively against him, God's going to kill you. He's that type of preacher. And he preys off the most vulnerable. He's raised $50 million in about the last decade. And because there's no accountability, he can do what he wants. His home in Tampa, Florida, his parsonage. So this is a home paid for by donors, $8.3 million, 28,000 square feet was raided by the FBI. He has about 28 million in real estate. So he's taking money from the most vulnerable, who Christ is there to protect, technically. And he's inuring himself and just building his portfolio. He owns a Bentley, Rolls Royce, all in the name of Jesus. He's got people working for free at call centers till 4 a.m. And if they don't hit their donation quota that they have to raise, they have to get on their knees and beg him for forgiveness.
Are you serious?
Yeah, all in the name of Jesus.
Beg him for forgiveness?
Because he's anointed, Shawn. And so the system, like I said, when you take the business and the true church and blend it, it's a disease. Because Christ's message is antithetical to legal systems. He was a counterculturalist. He didn't and here's what I love, because we're seeing this, we call it the death rattle in the show. We're seeing this happening in Washington right now. Church and state are colliding. So if Christ really wanted to transform the world through politics, he would have marched straight to Caesar and be like, I demand a meeting with Caesar. He could care less about Caesar. He said, I don't care about your politics and your games. You guys deal with that. I have to deal with the heart. And so we have the ecclesia here this is to deal with the heart. And then we have the business. The business is not inherently bad, but you have to call it a business. And right now, no one calls it a business because it's been infected, and we call this the church. I'm going to church. You don't go to church. You, Shawn, are the church. And then whatever that is, as it morphs and changes throughout the decades in history, sure, that's a place where we can meet and enjoy the donuts and coffee and listen to cool music, and that's not inherently bad. But that is a business, and oftentimes a multi-million-dollar business that's run with zero accountability. So you got to call a spade,
Do you have a percentage of, is this all churches, or is there specific ones that stick out to you? Is there a happy medium?
All of them play by the same rule book. And when you have a rule book with no accountability and all the power silos at the top, just like every pastor will be eaten by the system. Every institution, every business will be eaten by that system. And that's why reform has to happen within the business itself. And so we're begging people to actually deepen their faith and deepen their giving while bringing reform to the machine that we've built. Mm-hmm. And this isn't inherently bad, but it's corrupted and dark. It's the darkest business entity you can start in the US. We've talked with ex-mafiosos who spent decades in prison, and they say, Nathan, I wouldn't join the mafia today. I'd start a church because it's the most dark place it's the darkest place you can play.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why did this guy's 28,000 square foot home in Tampa get raided by the FBI?
Enough people. So this is where you can this is the little sliver of hope is if enough people complain to the IRS or the FBI, they will open an investigation. And our good friends, RPIs that worked on the religion business at the Trinity Foundation out of Dallas, they'd in 2018 put together a massive packet and sent it to the IRS and said, hey, you guys have to look at this scammer. Like he's just ripping people off. And this is the problem is it took 6.5 years for the IRS and then the FBI to finally go, this is a total POS, like he needs to go. But there's people who have disappeared going to his church. Missing person reports. And we see this across the US too. These apostles will find vulnerable people, will tell them to move across the country and come work for them. And eventually they disappear into trafficking rings.
I mean, do you have proof that is the...
We've got missing persons reports and you just never find them again. Their cars will be in parking lots.
I get that.
Yeah.
What I'm asking is, do you have proof that it was the church that did it? I mean, we're talking about vulnerable people. Those are people that are, in poverty, many of them addicted to drugs. Mm-hmm. You know what that leads to? That leads to do me the sexual favors and I'll give you drugs. Then it turns into I'm your pimp. I'll give you drugs. Yeah. I mean, that could be totally outside the church. I mean, there's a lot of things, that happen to the most vulnerable mm-hmm. because of the situations that they're in. That doesn't necessarily mean that, that the pastor sold them into trafficking, unless you have proof. Do you have proof?
I don't have proof of that. Well, I'd have to talk to our PIs, but those are firsthand accounts. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you right now, there's a church in Arizona that literally has a tunnel that goes from the church under the border to Mexico.
What? Mm-hmm. What church is that?
I'm not going to say, but there is, that's how corrupt some of these institutions are.
Why don't you want to say?
Because that's for another story. We're developing that story right now. But there is, you can use the name of God to do horrific things. And that doesn't mean that God, Christ, is corrupt. It means man is leveraging his name to do awful things. Mm-hmm. And we can look through history on that one. And then let me rephrase that too. Man can also use the name of Christ to do amazing things. Mm-hmm. But right now that the architecture of the system is so dark that it just creates so there's a book called The Wisdom of Psychopaths, and it talks about psychopathic tendencies. And it's a character type, it's a clinical diagnosis. And you can either end up in jail for mass murder or you can be the CEO of some billion-dollar hedge fund. Like that, there's just a mental type that they classify as psychopaths. One of the top 5 jobs for psychopaths today is clergy, to become a pastor.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Because it's unlimited authority or potentially unlimited authority. It's power. It's dominion over people. And that's the character type of a psychopath is attracted to jobs like that.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.